Acknowledge me.
You just made the list.
I am the B-E-S-T.
I'm better than you, and you know it. Damn.
Welcome back to Down Under the Mat podcast here in Madison Square Garage, around the pool table of relevancy. To my left, Mr. Daniel Danielson. To my right, Rowdy Reece. I am Booker Ted. We are here to acknowledge our tribal chief.
Damn right.
And we're here to talk all things wrestling again. Welcome back. Oh, God. Happy Easter to everyone. Hope you all got lots of chocolate and had spent some time with family.
I did. I didn't need it, but it's fine.
Well, you've probably got heaps stashed for the rest of the year, mate, having a kid. Surely.
Yeah, no, the Easter Bunny came, left a whole bunch of stuff all around the house. There was a little trail of them through the kitchen out to the trampoline. It was fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I actually bought myself a Easter Bunny one this year because I don't normally do that. And I'm actually very much impressed at how much thicker they've started making them.
Oh, it's been like
than the
little
last
cheap
time I
hollow?
made them. Yeah, it's not just like cheap, thin crap. It's actually quite thick. I got a
then
crunchy one from Cadbury.
Then you crush it up, put it in a container, and put it in the fridge, so it's nice and hard every time.
Yeah, and then you'd leave it for 3 months and don't eat it.
Oh no, I got one last week and it's ready to go.
Devoured it, man. It's gone.
Fair enough.
You devoured it.
No, just like pick at it,
No,
have a little bit every day.
Lockie's favourites are the little Oreos eggs. So the little chocolate eggs, but then
right.
you crack it open. It's got like not an Oreo, but like
Yeah, like the
Oreo
mix.
chocolate mix
Yeah.
into it.
Yum.
They're good.
That sounds awesome.
Yum.
I do not want to discover those because I will eat all of them. All right, well, let's just jump right into wrestling. So we're going to start with the local stuff. We were talking about StarCast on the last episode, and one of the matches that we is talking about hadn't been announced was who Luke Watts was going to defend his Slam title against. And it has been decided it is the full draw Dan Archer who jumped to the top of those power
Deservedly.
rankings. Deservedly.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
he's a very reputable wrestler. I keep saying this.
Look, if you watch our Slam podcast from the last week, the interview with Dan was fantastic. Like you said, he's very reputable, very big fan of the podcast. So thank you very much, Dan. Good luck at your match
appreciate
against
Yep.
Luke. Shame it's in Ballarat.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to say, actually.
I think
'cause I'm a
that's the
little
one
bit-
bad thing about it.
Yeah.
Because it's not happening in Canberra for all the Slam fans.
Yeah,
But hopefully it does, maybe. At the
might
next
be a
show.
bit of a dusty finish and a rematch.
There might be a rematch. I hope so,
love
because
it.
I really want to see Luke Watts versus Dan Archer for the title.
Yeah.
Like, I know they've wrestled before, but I'd really like to see that. And I think we said it before that Dan's definitely earned his shot. He's a wordsmith, a scholar, and a gentleman, shall I say.
Sure, you can say whatever you want.
I'm going to.
Yeah, good.
Jeez, I feel a little bit of, resentment here, Dan.
No,
Are you
it's
not?
a bit-
Is it because his name is also Dan and you're just upset there's a better Dan?
Oh, it's just
He's
a lot
saying
of
he's
big
better
words,
than me.
man.
Well, I didn't say that.
I mean, you
Maybe
just did.
Some people say, as they say on the news.
No, look, I'm all in supporting of our good friend Dan Archer.
You say you're all in.
Oh, is that
Breaking
a spoiler alert?
news.
No.
All right. So anyway, Dan Archer versus Luke Watts at StarCast. So for all of you going,
man.
you're very lucky.
Yeah.
You're getting another great match.
I finally remembered, because I swear I had something booked that weekend. I finally remembered. A friend's got a baby shower. So I definitely can't go down.
you
Can't the baby
go.
shower be at StarCast?
And they don't like wrestling.
Why are you friends with them?
I can have non-wrestling fan friends.
I feel like when you live in Australia, it's a given that you have to have non.
Oh yeah, I
wrestling
agree.
fan friends.
Yeah, I agree.
Not everyone gets it over here.
Except for that. I mean, I just want to quickly touch on that TikTok or Instagram video I sent you guys this morning of the guy getting married,
Yeah.
walking out to the Roman Reigns entrance.
Short King.
Short King energy, bro.
Is that you speaking on behalf of other Short Kings?
Oh look, okay.
Are
I'm
you
not.
speaking on behalf of all of us?
I mean, I don't think Ted and I are tall, right? I'm not going to say that we are, but I also don't think we're necessarily short kings.
on camera.
Look, don't walk out at your wedding to a wrestling entrance. That's a bit sad.
Yeah, it's still cringe.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them.
But like, I get it. Like, if as a couple you're both into it and you're both happy to do it, like, I get it. But I just wouldn't. Like, I love wrestling.
Can
And
you
he-
come out
and
of
he-
your wedding to the gong and then just like smoke everywhere and you just start walking out like the Undertaker?
No.
And we can be a couple of your
We'll be
disciples,
your druid. We'll be your
druids.
druids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
with the torches.
Just like hold flashlights there.
And then you have to get one of your brothers or something to walk out in front of you with an urn. Oh, geez.
I love that we all did a really bad Paul Bearer impersonation. That was
Don't
fantastic.
you speak for yourself. All right, so moving on, we'll get into AEW. First of all, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but you know how Pac came back from that debilitating injury he got midway through last year, and he's been gone for like 6 or 7 months. He came back. He's on the injured list again.
Hooray.
Haven't
Well,
seen
not
any of the
hooray,
info yet.
sarcastic hooray.
It's a bit shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they were looking to do something with him and Okada by the looks of the way they were setting up that storyline. Don't think it's
There's so
gonna
much
happen
potential.
now.
It's gone.
Look, it's a real shame because Pac is very talented, very good wrestler. He's just not got a whole lot of luck. But as I said, I can't find any actual information about what the injury is, where it happened. We just
I
know
wonder
that
if it's
he's been
just
moved
like
to the
a
injured
little
list.
like training injury, just like a small one.
Well, they've
He
still
just
got a
needs
couple of
few
weeks until
yeah.
Dynasty, so hopefully something
yeah.
comes of it. I mean, if we want to talk, while we're talking about AEW, let's talk about disappointing things. The crowd for Dynamite.
Yep.
Dude, it was like, I know we like to shit on crowds at Dynamite and
If you can't
Rampage
shit on them
and-
when they're not there.
So
it's so bad.
I think the biggest
Collision
problem with
got
this-
more.
Right, Collision was fine. Collision was a good
yeah.
crowd, and it was a hot crowd because they obviously had
But,
the
like,
Cope
that's the thing.
Oakland, and this, we'll talk about that in a
I
second.
read something today, like that Collision
Yep.
was in a 10,000 seat arena, not like a 20,000
And that's
seat
the thing.
arena.
That's the biggest
thing.
issue
Make it
here.
smaller.
Smaller
Was the-
arenas work better for
I think
AEW
we've said
product.
this before, haven't we?
Yeah,
We've said
it's
this
almost
multiple
like they've been
times.
watching and they're finally listening to us.
Yeah, thanks, TK. But yeah, like the Dynamite was like 4,000, just over 4,000 people. Not a great crowd, considering WWE have very proudly said on every TV show it's
Five
the
consecutive?
11th. No, it's the 11th consecutive sellout of a TV show for WWE. So Raw and SmackDowns.
Could you imagine, like, 5 years ago telling somebody, hey, 2024, we're going to sell out 11 consecutive live TV events?
Not with the product they were doing there.
No.
I mean, you got to
crazy.
give some credit to obviously being on the road to WrestleMania
Of
as well,
course.
obviously. But
Absolutely.
it's still a very impressive stat.
But that's the thing too, right? It's the road to WrestleMania. Everyone, all wrestling fans right now are at peak wrestling. Everyone's super keen to see everything. Yet AEW only got 4,000. And it was
crazy.
the problem was, like you said, it's the size of the stadium. It was like an 18,000 seat arena. So it looked horrible. And like it was the whole hard cam side was taped off black, which is
even,
fairly
like-
common. But
Like,
it was,
even part of when it was starting to come around as well. Like, it was only had... It
was behind the commentators'
that
desks.
front bit.
Yep.
And that was pretty much it.
So yeah, like I pointed to you guys, I took a
Ridiculous.
screenshot when Mercedes walked into the ring.
Yeah.
And they had the camera follow her around. When she was on the opposite to hard cam side, you could see the crowd, but behind the commentators' desks was blacked.
Yeah.
There was nothing there.
And also the widest entrance way you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like that was so wide.
And the problem was, right, the match or the show started with a really good match between Will Ospreay and Shibata. It was really good.
Yeah.
Nobody there. And the sound was really bad, and it just made that whole show drop because there just wasn't a crowd to watch it. And it's really disappointing. Kind of like Mercedes Monet's return to AEW, but anyway, we'll leave that point to maybe another part of the podcast. Or are we going to talk about here? How she's very meh, no one cares, and she was really bad on commentary.
I mean,
and-
like, how many weeks in a row are we going to say that?
I mean, it's got to be a point eventually we give up. I'll make a point here.
I'll admit, I didn't watch Dynamite this week.
I did, and she was not good on commentary. So that was bad. But also, I think what has happened is Triple H has watched this play out and been like, oh, I think we saved our money. I think we're good here.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you know how you should debut someone? Like on a TV show, if you want to debut them, you bring them out into the ring, you cut a nice big promo with them, and then they come in at the end of the night and save everything, which is what Mercedes did a couple of weeks ago on AEW. Like,
I think I know what you're getting at
how
here.
good that was. And then Triple H just went, I'll just do a Jade Cargill. I'll do it 3 times better.
Yeah.
And he did.
What?
And we'll get into that later on when we get to it. But it's a very valid point. I think what we should talk about more the side of is the fact that I know it's only been a couple of weeks, but again, the face of AEW, really? I mean, it goes into our next point, right? So Collision happened.
Yeah.
We had an awesome
Surprise.
surprise of Matt Cardona, woo, turning up to take Adam Copeland's open challenge for the TNT title.
The Cope Open.
The
They
Cope
should just
Open?
call it the Copen.
The Copen. That's a good one. I like that.
Copen.
The Copen.
The
We'll-
Copen.
We'll trade that trademark that here, man. Copen.
Okay.
Just like the final boss that they took from you as well.
Oh, interesting.
So the Copen, Matt Cardona turns up, and I guess this is my point. That's huge. Matt Cardona turning up and wrestling Adam Copeland. It's so weird saying both their full names. Cardona turning up and
Zack
facing
Ryder
Edge.
versus Edge.
But like that's the thing. That's been Matt Cardona's dream match for like his entire life. For him to finally get that.
But you know, it wasn't going to happen.
Oh, really?
No, so he was booked to retain the MLW title that weekend in Mexico, I believe, or Miami or somewhere.
Yeah.
But he dropped the title to Nick Nemeth like 3 days beforehand, which meant that he could then fly that day from there to Canada to face Edge.
Nice.
So if he hadn't have dropped the title, he wouldn't have been able to make the show to have the match that he wanted. So it shows, like, and this is why there's people that are saying, oh, we want Cardona to sign to AEW or back to WWE or whatever. I don't think he will, because him being the indie god means he can do whatever the hell he wants to do.
100%.
And he can show up at this MLW show on a Thursday night, and then he can fly to the, Collision and wrestle there on a Saturday, and then Sunday he can go to CMLL and do something else, and then he can show up to TNA. Was TNA the week before?
It was this week.
Was this
He was
week?
on TNA with Steph DeLanda,
Exactly. Oh, yeah, that's right.
who won that 8-4-1 match to get a women's title.
So maybe it was TNA on the Thursday, MLW on the Friday, Collision on the Saturday.
Jesus Christ.
Indie God.
I guess my question about the whole thing, because I know for people like ourselves, it's an awesome surprise, right? To see that and see that happen. But do you think they maybe missed the boat a bit in not announcing that was going to happen? Because I think they're getting a lot of views now post-event.
Yeah.
But imagine how many views, and maybe you not even mention the fact that he was going to wrestle Edge, right? Maybe just a mention of the fact that he was going to be there.
Well, he wasn't going to be there until the day before, so they couldn't.
Right, okay.
So that's the
But
problem.
then have they wasted it?
But then cards are subject to change all the time.
All the time,
So
yeah.
it's your little out.
I don't think it's wasted. I think that what this has done now is that when next week and on Collision, there's another Copen.
Everyone's going to expect someone big to turn up.
Correct. But then when it's like Daniel Garcia or
I just realized what he's doing.
what's he doing?
He's doing to
the
the
John Cena US Open.
Yeah,
challenge.
he's doing to the TNT title what John Cena did for the US
Yes.
title.
Yes.
I
Put
guess-
on banger matches every week.
Yeah.
Have a few surprises here and there.
And if that works, fine. But
I'm all for it.
good point, though, because if I tune in, and no offense, if I tune in and Hook comes out, I'm going to be like, oh, great. Awesome.
I was.
But then also like
Wheeler Yuta was the guy I was trying to think of then. I couldn't picture his name. I was like, the shit one from the BCC. What's his name?
Yeah, Wheeler Yuta.
But then, like, you think, like, John Cena, when he did it, he had Stardust for one of them. And
Yeah.
they put on a freaking great
Banger.
match.
Oh, look.
Yeah.
Copeland will put on great matches. He does, right? He is a veteran that knows how to work the ring, and I think that he will use this to make stars out of other people. That's
Yeah.
kind of the point of his career he's at.
Yeah.
It looks like they're going to do an angle with the House of Black and Malachi Black, which is cool.
Yeah.
Longer term.
Trios match at Dynasty. They booked.
But yeah, if they start having the Copeland as a surprise, and they get Cardonas, if they get, RVD or returning other people and stuff, cool. People keep watching in.
Yeah.
They've got to ride that surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, fair enough. It was a very good match too, actually.
Yeah.
I did watch it. So
me too.
they put on an absolute banger of a match. So I'm glad for Cardona as well, the fact that he got his dream match. So
Before we move off AEW, the other thing
we're not moving off AEW just yet, but what
good.
else have you got?
I just said a lot of the crowd was blacked out. Ospreay vs Sparta was really good.
Yeah.
Mercedes on commentary was sucked. And then the Young Bucks are in the best form of their career as these heels.
They
in a
work much
Carter.
better as heels.
They're they're going so well.
Yeah, because I mean,
Especially-
naturally they're kind of hateable anyway. So,
Oh, totally.
You know,
Especially with how they've tweaked their characters. Like, if it was just, like, normal Young Bucks as heels, it's like, okay. But, like, the fact that they're pulling the whole EVP executive angle as
They're
well,
wearing,
and, like, wearing
suits and
suits and,
vests
like,
when they're wrestling. And,
looks great.
Yeah, it's
looks great. I love it.
So the other point on AEW I wanted to talk about, because you could never talk about AEW without talking about this man, because he's always front and center. Tony Khan versus Eric Bischoff. The Twitter war continues. Now, I think one of the things I wanted to point out, I have actually got some quotes here from X, formerly known as Twitter. Khan
Khan hasn't got a leg to stand on with this.
Well,
but
this is
continue.
one of my. This is no, he doesn't. But this is one of my big peeves with what's going on. Naturally, this time of year, you're going to get overshadowed because of WrestleMania.
Yes.
Right? It's going to happen. But then he's not helping by doing this, because he's now also overshadowing his own company, who's also being overshadowed by WrestleMania.
Yes.
So you're not helping, Tony. And
But we've said this a lot with TK, especially like with all his press conferences, especially the ones post pay-per-view that go for 3.5 hours. Like, what are you doing? but also the fact that he sits in those press conferences the whole time because he is the center of attention. We don't care about Tony Khan. We want when Triple H does his, he comes out and he reads you the numbers and says it's the greatest grossing thing we've ever made. It's the most money for the pay-per-view. We did this, we did that. I'll answer 3 or 4 questions. All right, here's the wrestlers. Yeah. That's
He also changes it up a little bit, I've noticed, where sometimes he comes in first, sometimes he comes in last.
Yeah.
He always changes it up.
But Tony Khan sits there and talks for 45 minutes.
I suppose the best thing about that is we get memes out of it with his silly little reactions.
And his hair.
Like, that's the best thing out of him being there the whole time.
Well, this whole... So what happened is it was announced on X because Eric Bischoff had 2 podcasts. So he's got 83 Weeks, which is his wrestling one, and then he was also part of one called Strictly Business. Now, I've never actually heard of Strictly Business. I didn't know it was a thing.
Okay.
Apparently it was a thing. I don't know if it was about wrestling. I don't think it was.
Is it not about wrestling? Is it just an entire podcast around strictly ballroom?
Well, business, mate. But anyway.
Yeah, but like it's about how you grow your business of ballroom dancing.
Possibly.
Strictly Business.
Possibly. I don't know.
Could be.
But apparently it's quite reputable. But anyway, his partner that he did
Very
it with
reputable.
had actually... Very reputable. Had actually announced on X that they decided it was coming to an end. They're not going to do it anymore. They've done 2 years. Thank you so much. It was, it was a success, but we decided not to do it.
Fair enough.
So Tony Khan then retweeted it and commented, and I quote, "Sunsetting this fraud of a business podcast before the next AEW media deal is a wise choice." Now, that's shots fired, first of all.
Why?
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's just like, okay, bro, calm down.
Tony, what are you doing?
They've just announced. They haven't even said anything about AEW. They've just announced on their own platform that we're deciding to wrap up this podcast. And he's gone and found that and gone, oh, time for me to get my 2 cents in. So, Conrad Thompson, we all know Conrad. He does the 83 Weeks podcast with Bischoff.
Yep.
And he saw this response from Tony and saw a lot of people commenting and realized that people were starting to mistake the fact that they thought they were talking about the 83 Weeks podcast.
Right, because Bischoff's on both.
Correct.
Yeah,
so
okay.
Conrad's gone
It's
on and
confusing.
said, don't get it twisted. 83 Weeks with Eric Bischoff is not sunsetting. See you all Monday. After waking up to Twitter this morning, I wonder, as a friend of mine might say, what do you guys want to talk about? Question mark. Right? So he's obviously got on there to set it straight that, hey guys, we're not talking about our podcast. It's the other one.
And he's also saying that I'm friends with Cody Rhodes.
Correct. He's just got to put that in.
No,
There. He's going to be at Starcast, man.
just
So
star
you know,
subtle.
he's just showing how much of a star he is. But then Eric Bischoff obviously decided that he obviously needed to snap back at Tony Khan, and I got to say,
You're gonna give the points. For
yeah,
Cody
oh,
Bischoff
dude,
here?
I've got the quote, and you guys, this was a bit of a.
Yeah, read it to me. I haven't.
This
I
is
haven't followed
like
at all.
rock slapping.
Oh, haven't you? I've seen this.
Okay.
It's great.
Quote: "A money mark with no talent other than spending daddy's money, going all the way to Canada to draw less than 4,000 in one of the hottest pro wrestling markets in North America, talking about wise choices. Strap in, it's gonna be a fun day."
Yeah, that's a knockout victory to Bischoff. On
Uh-huh.
that one.
Oh,
That
absolutely slaughtered Tony.
Mate, he just
Oh
put
my
him.
God.
I think the daddy's money bit got me. The way it's not even just dad's money; it's daddy's money. Oh man, like I mean, come on, man.
I
It's Eric
do.
Bischoff.
I do feel like Tony Khan though is the kind of guy that is like, Daddy, 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 Daddy. Okada's a free agent. Daddy, can I hire him? Can I? Please, 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 please. Thank you.
That's a TikTok moment.
Well, I like the effect of the shaking camera while you did it too. That made it even better. No, I do get that. I do get that vibe, man. I do get that vibe. Look, you can't argue with any of his points in
No.
it, really, can you? Like,
And that's the thing, like, why take shots at Eric Bischoff, one of the most successful professional wrestling businessmen in history?
I mean, he did kind of run a few companies into the ground.
Yeah, he ran his own company.
who hasn't, mate? Paul Heyman,
Well, yeah, see? There we go. But
and he's
like,
still a legend. Right, I mean, when you're up against a company like WWE,
It's not
eventually
like-
it's going to happen.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And you got to look at Eric Bischoff was so good, he then got hired by
By
the
the
people
company,
that
yeah.
took him out of business.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't him that got taken out of business because he didn't own it anyway. He was running it, and if you watch a lot of his stuff, it wasn't him. It was the upper echelons
The
of
Ted
management.
Turners of the
that
like,
wanted to put
yeah.
their 2 cents in and didn't like the way the show was, and then they just sold it from under him. So, look, just Tony Khan, pick your
just
battles,
enough,
mate.
man. Enough.
Seriously, I'm getting pretty sick of talking about him, to be honest.
Be a proper businessman and just focus on your business. Stop being on social media. Stop being at press conferences so much. Just tone it back
he
a bit.
won't.
I know, but like,
You know,
it's just,
if he was smart,
there's a new story to talk about with him every week. 'Cause he just doesn't shut up.
if he was smart, he could actually approach Eric, bury the hatchet, and then go, "I've got an idea. How about I hire you, and you come in, and we'll do a bit of a storyline, and you take me out of business and end up running the show as commissioner." And you could have almost like an Eric Bischoff, Vince McMahon 2.0.
Nah.
Nah,
Next story.
Dan,
Move
Dan
on.
doesn't like it.
Don't care for it.
Nah,
Not in
All
the
right.
slightest.
So in NXT, we're over to WWE.
Yeah,
So Trick and Carmelo to main event Stand and Deliver.
mate, it's gonna be great.
It should be pretty fun.
Yeah,
I did see like the promo videos where they're doing like the
Well, they had
Rocky
three-
packages with him.
had
Trick.
3 different promotional videos for this feud on NXT this week. So they did a bunch of like for Trick's one especially, they went back to Philadelphia because that's where he grew up with his uncle, who used to be his guardian. They did a whole bunch of backstage stuff. He did a bunch of training montages. You had one with Carmelo Hayes talking about the fact that he's the one that brought Trick in. He's always been like Trick's always been Carmelo's hype man, and just like the way that they're building this. They even had like Randy Orton, CM Punk, and a bunch of other superstars
Talk
in
about
these
it, yeah.
vignettes
Yeah,
talking about how emotionally impactful this feud is and like what this match is going to mean. I can't freaking wait for Stand and Deliver to see how this pays off, especially being the main event of the night.
Especially being 5 a.m. Sunday for us as well to watch.
My God.
It's going to be so early, but I will
So
get
much
up and I will
wrestling.
watch it.
I mean, look, it sounds like it'd be worth it, man. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Trick and Carmelo, 2 of the best in the ring, not just on NXT, but in general.
As long as your birthday doesning run too late, I will get up on Sunday morning and I will watch it.
I mean, it's dinner at the club with kids, mate. I don't
be fine.
I don't think it's going to run too late.
I think this is the match that deserves to main event Stand and Deliver for the feud they put together for these two guys.
Yeah.
Bit rough that it's not Ilya as the champion. Like I don't think he's done anything wrong as the champion.
No,
the problem
I just-
is the match with him and Stax just doesn't quite.
You mean Tony D'Angelo?
Oh, D'Angelo, sorry, yeah. Doesn't quite match what this would be.
No, and like there's something like before we came on the air, they had Rock versus Hogan from WrestleMania 18 on,
Yep.
and it's a point where, like I mentioned, that's a moment where they should have said, like, look, this is going to be a big match. We'll put it on last.
Yep.
Because it's going to be more impactful, and that's exactly what they're doing with Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. We see it more and more. Like it is a championship match. But if there's another story that's got more impact and will draw in more people to watch it, put it on last.
Yep.
Even if there's no title involved, it's just... Of course. They did it with Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano a few years back in NXT, and that was, like, immense.
Oh, dude, that match was amazing.
Like,
Yeah, I know the one you talked about.
speechless.
All right,
But yeah, good news there.
fantastic. Good news for NXT. Good news for Carmelo and Trick because they deserve it, mate, with
Definitely.
the talent and the effort they're putting in. So let's talk about Dan's favorite moment to talk about today. The thing that broke the internet, Mami.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You're talking about Mami
I wasn't sure.
doing her best Rikishi impersonation
Yep.
on Nia Jax.
I don't think Becky liked it as much.
No, apparently not. Apparently not. She wasn't a fan of it.
Have you seen the other video?
Which other video?
The one with Shayna Baszler?
Oh, where she
Yeah.
sat down and was like, yes, yes, yes.
Give it to
and
me.
it
Give it
was
to me. Give it to
Nia.
me. Yeah. Yeah.
Great. I think they're just having fun on the house shows because...
But that's what I think people that sort of take this a little bit too far don't quite understand.
Yeah.
Is that the house show circuit for the wrestlers is meant to be fun.
Yeah.
They're meant to go out there and try new things. That's where John Cena did his stupid karate move thing as his finisher and stuff. And like you see fans, like them getting signs in the ring and getting
Yeah.
fans and stuff in. It's the point where the wrestlers are meant to try some things out, see what the crowd likes and doesn't like. It's also where WWE books feuds that they want to see the reaction is. So
Yeah.
like before, Seth and that were into the world title, they were booking Seth and Gunther in different matches to see what the crowd were thinking of, which way would they go. House shows are meant to be fun like this. They're meant to test things out. It is not meant to be taken seriously. It's not Raw. It's not SmackDown. It's not a pay-per-view. So when Rhea pulls her pants up, does a stink face, and slaps her ass to the whole crowd, and they all cheer, yes, it's because she's having some fun in the ring.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, that's the thing. It's a more laid back time for the wrestlers. Like I've seen some videos. Like every time I see a house show video of Rhea Ripley, she wears like no makeup
Yeah.
because it's
Absolutely.
just like her being herself.
But that's
having
what
some
most
fun.
of them do.
I've seen a video
It's not on
of
TV. You don't need to.
I think it was Naomi and Bianca were teaming with Becky for a 6-woman tag match, and they're just in there rocking out to Becky Lynch's theme music as she's coming out to the ring.
Yeah.
They're just having fun. Like
I think
Don't
there
take it
was,
so seriously.
I also saw a clip of Drew in the ring waiting for Cody to come for their match,
And
when it's
doing
the
the-
whoa, he does that on the
Yeah, and he
road.
did it. Yeah.
He did the little flex on the.
But he yelled
top
whoa at
rope.
the same time. Yeah, they're all just having fun, man.
I mean,
Just
and at the end of the day, all it's doing is getting more eyes on your product. Because,
Yeah,
I mean, as I said,
exactly.
that video
went viral. For a
went
good
viral
reason.
very quickly, nearly broke the internet. And speaking of breaking
broke
the
a few
internet,
things.
Mami also had an interview on Impulsive
Yes.
last week as well. I don't know what the views are on that, but I'm sure it's pretty high. Did you guys get to have a watch or a
Yeah.
listen?
Yeah, I watched it.
I think I watched it the first out of all of us.
Probably. Someone has nothing else to do.
We'll
with
give
his
you that
life.
medal.
No, nothing else to do.
Oh, jeez, that's a bit rough.
Look, I will give Logan Paul credit that when he was a YouTube star, I didn't care for him. Lockie liked him, but that was because kids liked some stuff he did originally. More recently, when he's been starting to do Impulsive and start to be like a professional boxer and now into his WWE career, he started to sort of mature his content with his interviews and stuff. The one he did with Ray a couple of months ago was fantastic. The one he's done with Randy Orton, John Cena, like they've all been really
Triple
really
H,
good.
Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. Like,
Yeah, they've all
they're
been
all
really
fantastic.
good interviews. Because what I think I like watching Impulsive is Logan is very good at just letting his interviewee go, let them talk, and bringing up stuff. And the way that he changes subjects or asks questions is just like, he did it with this Rhea conversation. They were talking about stuff, and she was going right down, and he was like, "Yeah." So which piercing hurt the most?
Just out of
Just
nowhere.
bang changes it, and because the person that he's talking to is so comfortable with it, then they just start talking straight away. It's like, and I've advocated this to a lot of my friends, and probably to you guys as well. My favorite interview show is Hot Ones, which is the YouTube show where they.
I thought you were about to say what your favorite piercing of Rhea Ripley's was, but yeah, go ahead.
I think we all know the answer to that one. So left nipple, not the right one.
Oh, right, okay, it's the left. Right.
But Hot Ones is such a great interview show on YouTube because like they eat increasingly hotter, spicy chicken wings, which makes the person get more and more
chicken
uncomfortable, and they start opening up their questioning.
Yeah.
And it's always so casual. And Sean, the guy who does that, is brilliant. So if you haven't watched Hot Ones, go watch it because he does what he's done it with like.
But he
Undertaker,
also
Stone
does his
Cold.
research so well that he asks questions
Brilliant.
that they've never actually been asked before. If you ever want to see, like, you can go on there and actually see videos where they've done a compilation of all the people that say, "Good question. I've never
So
been asked
many.
that." And like, it's so many of them where he's able to ask a question. You got to think these celebrities go and do like 3 or 4 interviews a day sometimes, right? And they'll get probably more than that, and they'll get asked the same question over and over and over again. Like same with wrestlers, right? They'll get asked, "What's your favorite match? Who was your favorite opponent?" And
Who's
all
on
that kind of
your Mount
stuff.
Rushmore?
And he somehow will bring around questions where they literally have to sit there and think about it and go, "I've never been asked that before. I've really got to think about it." So yeah, that's a
And I
good
think
one to check out.
that's what I like with Logan at the moment is that he's not doing that interview style. So what's your favorite match? Who's your favorite wrestler? Like he gets that information, but
It's
really
just a
casually with
conversation.
them.
Yeah.
And this chat with Rhea was really good.
I did find there were impersonations of Aussie accents and talking Aussie slang. I found it
it's
funny
always-
because
They always talk about Vegemite.
outside of
Always.
watering hole. I'm like, that's British, you idiot. Watering
enough,
hole
isn't it?
is what we say, but you know.
I do think one of the points that people have brought up post this interview, apart from her piercings, is essentially how she kind of subtly buries AEW. But I don't think she's wrong. Where she kind of says, you know, because obviously they said that her partner Buddy's in AEW, and she says that he's going really well and he's really comfortable where he is, but he's also man enough to appreciate that she's, you know, in a bigger spot in a bigger company than he is. And not a lot of men can sort of take that, especially like, you know, if your wife's making more money and you kind of think like that's generally something that some men can't take. He's pretty good with that. And yeah, she kind of just says, I know some people aren't going to like this, but I have a bigger platform than he does. And
Yeah, but the people who don't like it don't
But, I
like
mean,
the
like-
truth. Like that's as simple as that. What she's saying is just
It's not
truth.
like she's saying they've got a shitty product and all that sort of stuff. She's stating facts, man.
yeah.
yeah,
WWE is a bigger company. Like they've
on a
got
bigger
more
platform.
social reach. It's just
yeah.
it's
She's
facts,
not,
man.
and she didn't. I don't think she did it in a disrespectful way. Like
No,
she was just
and
talking about it
that's
in
the
her
thing.
own experience
she-
with her relationship.
Yeah,
I
she
think
came
was
about
quite
it like
respectful
very
about it.
professional.
Absolutely, but there's going to be AU marks that are going to tie.
Oh,
That's so
of
bad.
course.
But Tony Khan's a billionaire, and I watch. Anyway, never mind.
Oh, I'll bet to say a word we haven't said in a while. Mud Show neckbeard.
Oh no, Mud Show.
Mud Show neckbeard.
Mud Show's made a return. Oh look, Mami.
In pog form. Moving on.
Oh,
Go watch the interview with Mami. It's
Pugs.
Yes.
Yeah, go check it out. I have to admit, I'm actually enjoying. I never watched his interviews before until he started interviewing people around wrestling, and I'm thoroughly enjoying them. Actually,
I'm really starting to get to enjoy Logan Paul in general.
but actually, can I bring, now that you've touched that, I want to bring that up though. I feel like what they were saying was a little bit of bullshit because when he hit her up and said, "Oh, I got a bone to pick with you about what you said in Australia about Prime," because she tasted it and went, "Oh, that tastes like rubbish anyway," or whatever.
They watered it down.
and then he went, "Oh, but it was water," and I'm like, "No, mate. If it was water, she would have known it was water." I don't know. I find that a little bit like,
No way any of those drinks taste watered down. They are sweet.
Yeah, but I think
No, what he was trying to
shit.
say was that he drank it before he went out.
Yeah.
And then Triple H and him rinsed it out and filled it with water because they still wanted to plug Prime.
I reckon
And that
it was
the bottom
like
that stayed.
half to a quarter left, and then they just put water in.
no, I agree with because wasn't the point at the press conference that Kevin splashed it on someone's face?
No, it was Rhea splashed it on Nia's face.
Either way,
Yeah.
if you wouldn't splash Prime full of sugar and everything on someone's
Oh,
face,
that's a
on
good
hot
point.
day.
So that's probably why they did it.
What are you talking about, mate? Zero sugar.
What do you mean? No, there's definitely sugar. In
Yeah,
this.
I was going to say, dude.
There's definitely
There's
sugar.
got to be sugar in that. There's
But
gotta
yeah, I think that the whole point of that
Oh,
was
it's
in
basically
their-
nothing.
It's in their energy drinks that there's no sugar.
Yeah.
Well, they 2 grams of sugar in a bottle of that.
That's pretty low.
But I mean,
Still,
on a
I get
hot-
what you mean. You
on a
wouldn't
hot
want
day-
to
Times
on
that in
someone.
Power Rating
Yeah.
shit.
on a hot
That
day, you
makes
don't want that
sense.
shoved on your face.
No, that makes
want-
sense. Okay, I
Especially-
believe, now that you've made
Especially
that
a hot
point,
Perth day.
I agree with you on that one now. But staking on to the women's side of things, and Mami was involved, but I want to point out the Dom getting punched for reals by the man, Becky Lynch. And I do love Pat McAfee's breakdowns and assessments of all these situations.
Yeah.
Another
Absolutely
thing that
brilliant.
they've brought to the product since like Kevin Dunn's gone, that's just like bringing freshness.
Oh, mate,
to
the
the product.
videos that you see on Instagram and Twitter from that camera in front of Michael Cole with him and Pat on the desk, brilliant.
Oh, they're
you can
great.
tell Michael Cole, now that he doesn't have Vince McMahon, he's having the time of his
having
life.
fun.
So much fun. That clip of them talking about Pumas. No, we were talking about Pumas.
Not
enough.
even real.
Oh, so
Just
good.
crack off on live TV.
You can just see. I agree with you, man. Like I've seen that in Michael Cole since Vince McMahon's been gone. You can see that the world has been lifted off his shoulders.
And like
it
the
is-
clip with him with Valhalla's horns.
Oh, brilliant! But and
The
I've said it
greatest
before,
moment in Raw
I've said
history.
it before. The 2 different commentary teams they've got at the moment, perfect.
working
Don't
really
change
well.
them.
Yep.
Don't change them. Don't touch them. Leave them be.
We don't need 3-man commentary teams.
Unless-
Guest commentators, that's fine.
Unless you want to put on the special guest commentator on Monday nights
Correct.
being CM Punk,
Yes.
and on Friday nights being Kevin Owens. I'm happy if you put those 2 there.
Well, like full time.
Every now and then.
just
No,
every-
not
every
full
once in a
time.
while.
I think every
No,
now
but
and
like,
then.
that's what I mean. Like special occurrences, that's fine.
Yes.
But like for the majority of the time, 2-man's
Yep,
all we
agree.
need. Especially with who we've got on each show. Don't need anything else.
But yeah, props to Dom for taking a real punch from
yeah,
Becky
dude.
Lynch.
Far out.
Right on the jaw. It must have been planned beforehand.
Yeah, I reckon.
He's just like, hit me.
Just
do
hit me
it.
for real.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I reckon it would have been Dom that was just like, just punch me for real.
I think we're all underselling how good Dom is.
Oh, he's brilliant.
The way that he plays
I'm
into
not.
his character, you see him on SmackDown later in the week where he just gets out there and he gets booed horrendously, and then he hands the mic to Santos, who's the big heel, and the crowd's quiet again.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to Dom and it's booing. He is so good at everything he does. I think he knows exactly how much of a heel he is being, and the fact that like he gets into this segment knowing how can I get more heat on Rhea? Everyone loves her. How can I get involved and get more heat? And gets Becky to punch him right in the face. Everyone starts cheering Becky for it, and it's all Dom. And he's doing so well.
What I love about him, though, it's not even to do with, and he has come a long way in his in-ring ability as well.
Yeah,
but
for
it's not
sure.
even to do with that. It's nothing to do with his in-ring stuff. It's everything that he's doing outside of the matches. Like
Yeah.
just his general, as you said, like he's there and people are booing him, and he just knows how to react now. Like he just does it perfectly. And the fact that he knows when to hand off the mic, and when he's at ringside and he interacts with the crowd. Mate,
And did you watch the video? I can't remember. Maybe it was WWE that released it from last week when he ran out with the mask on.
yeah,
He just came into the crowd with like a hoodie and the mask on and sort of waited and then just sprints through the crowd to get in there. And you watch everyone that's like in the crowd watching, they just see some dude run past them. They're like, what's that? And then he just straight over into them. Everyone's like, what's going on? It was
do you reckon he stole that idea from Josh from Bronson United?
All right, with the mask.
Yeah, he must have.
He must have.
He must have seen our podcast.
Big
and
Lucha
saw
Libre
us,
fan.
And he checked it out and went, that's a good idea.
I should do that.
All right, well, let's get on to one of the really big talking points in the last week from Raw. One of the highest rated segments on Raw of all time. If you haven't seen it, you must be living under a rock.
Yep.
So CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins, the three-way promo. So Raw itself,
We've got 2 out of the 3 pops here.
Yeah?
Yes, we do. So it's
we've got... Who don't we have? Oh, wait, there's no Drew.
There's no
There's
Drew.
Yeah, damn.
So the Raw itself is like the 3rd highest rated Raw of all time, I believe, from what you shared with us.
On cagematch.com, if you take out pay-per-view events and pay-per-view events and the 2, one was the Owen Hart tribute and one was the Eddie Guerrero tribute. Take them out, it is the highest rated television show on cagematch.com.
And I did see some stats afterwards that
That's a crazy stat.
this was the highest viewed segment on the entire show.
Yes.
Yeah.
By quite a distance.
Over 2.5
2.2.
million, nearly? Or
2.2.
2.2 or 2.4 million. Yeah, it was huge.
And for good reason. I think...
Oh,
I mean, this is very
they
obvious.
went out there and they cooked. Mate.
What I love about this, right, is because this is one of the criticisms that WWE's gotten for a long time is like scripted promos.
Yeah.
Like they go out there and do script. This was very obvious that they've gotten together backstage and they've gone, here's our major dot points. Don't say anything else. Let's just go and cook.
And they've come out and said this was unscripted.
Yeah.
So the segment was produced by Adam Pearce. It was given 20 minutes.
Good man.
And essentially they said, here's what you need to touch on. Go do it.
Yeah.
And they did.
And I love the
Like
fact
that's the
that...
thing, like being unscripted
Yeah.
and being just impromptu, like the way that promo flowed between points and then when Seth came out and how they all interacted together once that happened.
Oh, it's perfect.
It's almost flawless. Like,
But I think
I have
people-
nothing to complain about with that segment.
But some people have complained because it's not that typical back and forth WWE promo. It's not person A talks, person B refutes, person A then refutes again. Because like Punk was talking and then Drew would talk over the top of him.
But that's what I like.
Absolutely, it's much more real.
And
right?
but
Yeah.
I was about to say, I actually didn't find that they talked over each other. They were able to put it in at the right point where they didn't talk over each other, but it was still relevant. So like the point of I'm the chosen one, right? And that,
Who chose you?
Yeah, who chose you? Say his name. What, I can't even think of the quote. What paragon of goodness chose you? Tell us his name. And even Drew, you could see, enjoyed it. He had a smile on
was
his face.
sitting
and he's
there
like,
laughing.
that is good. And that was, I think, and that's the thing, right? This was, I think, Adam Pearce hit the nail on the head when he produced this because he's looked at it and gone, there is real animosity here, right? And we're going to intertwine it between the 3 of these people. And so there was that lines of blurred of reality and kayfabe, and I think most of it was reality, let's be honest. But I think they all made an agreement that let's go out there and just make money.
And I love that everything that was said, essentially, all of the the zinger lines that happened were all rebuttals.
Yeah.
So like where Drew's walking out and he's like, I told you I'd do it and I've got your name on the shirt that I was going to ruin you. And CM Punk's like, I never had to put someone else's name on my shirt to sell it.
Yeah.
And then, Drew, the chosen line, stuff,
Yeah.
who is the chosen one? Like
The rehab line from Drew, though. For
That was
someone
a
who's so
great
straight
line.
edge, you spend a lot of time in rehab. And I'm like, oh. And that was the thing. They were burning each other. There wasn't one person that was like winning.
Crushing, yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
it moved and ebbed and flowed with who was sort
and then
of
when
on top in the
Seth came
conversation.
out, he came out as the champion.
Yes.
And he looked the champion in this segment. Because he came out and was like, you guys are talking a whole lot of junk for stuff that you're not even in the match for, and you're not the champion.
And I haven't thought about you for a moment.
Yep.
Right? Like lines like that where it just, and it's probably true. He's probably like, I haven't
that,
thought about
that
you at all, mate.
deadpan, stone cold look on Seth's face when he said that as well.
But also, we pointed this out on one of the previous episodes where Bully Ray on his Busted Open podcast pointed out, did you notice again, whenever CM Punk faces up to,
They stare.
he doesn't blink.
Well, that's the
He
thing.
doesn't blink. It is just a stare.
They're really playing off their, I want to say, prior animosity, because from reports that I've been reading this week, they're getting along somewhat backstage in terms of planning their segments together.
I think they all
Punk
know
and
they're
Seth.
all money. They have to.
Yeah, 100%. Like, they just got to realize like how badly fans want this and how when it actually pays off and we get that in-ring match between Punk and Seth, like
And Punk
the
and
roof
Drew.
is going to blow off whatever arena
Yeah.
it's in. It's crazy.
Between any of them, like if any three of
Yeah,
those have a match now,
Punk and
but
Drew
as
as
long as
well.
CM Punk is still somewhat involved, which Drew has been smart enough to keep him involved,
Yeah.
even though he hasn't been there. And my main point from this whole segment is in one. How long did it go for? 15 minutes, if
Yeah,
that,
20
maybe
minutes.
even less.
that.
It made the world heavyweight title for WrestleMania relevant.
Absolutely.
Because it
saved
has
that
been
title. Yep.
putting along, like Drew and Seth have been going okay, but this literally catapulted it back to main event status.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the fact
Straight
that
away.
you're going to have Punk on commentary, which will add to it. I love the fact that when they were going to the crowd, like they were all wanting
WrestleMania's
to
gonna be so good.
referee, and then Seth's like, in case you guys didn't realize, like his arm, that's his
Oh, when he
counting
got
arm,
down.
and then he's like 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But the fact that when Punk got up and goes, I don't think I could, be down the line between with these two dipshits. That was the one part that wasn't produced because they didn't have time to bleep him because he wasn't supposed to say that. So that was the one little bit that snuck through. But I don't think anyone backstage really cared too much. It was the rest of it was too much of a success to get angry at him saying.
I loved
dipshits.
Drew's reaction to that as well when Punk did the 1,
PG,
2, 3.
brother.
No, Drew, when he was like sitting at
Yeah,
the chair on
yeah.
commentary, he's like, "New champion!"
But I love Drew's actually showing quite a bit of wit with his rebuttals as well. Because when he came in and Punk said about, are you really a Scottish psychopath, or let's see if you're just a mark in a skirt or whatever it was. And Drew McIntyre straight up goes, "You get cancelled for that these days, brother."
There were so many zingers, man. It's hard to remember them all.
Oh,
it was just such a
I just want to
perfect
go
segment.
watch it back, man,
Yeah.
because it was just so good.
And the
you felt
ending,
every moment of
the
it.
ending where Punk just looked at Seth and said, "I'll be on commentary. That's fine. I'll do the one thing that you and Drew and your wife haven't been able to do is I'll make you interesting."
Yeah.
Walked off, and that's when Drew's like, "Cut his music,
Yeah.
blah blah blah." And then Seth did exactly the opposite thing that Drew's done to him the whole way through. Drew was distracted by Punk.
Yeah.
Seth took his moment.
I love that
super
they
kick,
played
and
that.
Stop. Perfect story.
Now, I know we're not going to go too in depth into it because
Yep.
we're going to have another video because this is Mania week. So go and have a look. We've already got our Slammy predictions up on the internet for you to check out on YouTube. And we're also going to have our WrestleMania draft for best WrestleMania matches of all time. But as another special edition, we're actually
So
going to
much
do
content.
predictions for WrestleMania. So we're going to get a bit more in depth because I know you've both got some predictions on that match with those three,
Yes.
with a potential fourth person getting involved.
Maybe even a
but we'll
potential
leave
fifth
that for
person.
a discussion for the predictions video.
Yeah,
Yeah, you just
I
realised what
was
we're
just like-
talking about.
I was like,
You
what's he
just
talking
realised
about?
what
Oh,
we're
yeah.
talking about. But look, amazing segment. Loved it from start to finish. Like, it was actually one of those ones where, because, sometimes when I watch wrestling, I'll be on my phone doing other stuff as well, or on the computer. And this was one of those ones where I literally put
You're
everything
drawn to it.
down and I was just watching the television.
And that was the thing this week because I went to CyberCon this week on Tuesday, so I couldn't watch Raw live.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to watch it until I got home at like 5 o'clock, whatever. I just sat down and watched it. Being able to just sit there and just watch, this was the perfect episode for me to not be able to watch it live because then I just got to sit there and just watch this perfect TV show play out.
Well, it was. And I know you've got some other points. We'll talk about the main segment now, I guess. But the opening Cody promo was really good. And then The Rock came out, didn't say anything. Incredible
Surprise
moment, because
Rock
it was a
appearance
surprise
as well.
Rock, right?
Like,
Yeah.
The Ricochet JD McDonough match, brilliant. The standing shooting star press and that Canadian destroyer they did off the
Amazing.
brilliant match.
Shooting star crossbody as well. Like,
was
what the
They
shit?
need to build some sort of better feud between those two.
Post
Because that,
WrestleMania,
that match was incredible.
the Becky and Rhea segment where Becky Rhea says Rue will be watching and call me mummy from the couch, like the way that
Becky's feeling.
Becky got really emotional, like,
Veins popping
that-
out of her head.
like what you said with this segment making the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match up here again. This everyone had been like, oh, but we don't really want to see Rhea and Becky, and what about Liv?
Who
What
doesn't
about
want to see Rhea and Becky?
Well, people were saying we want Liv, we want Nia.
we want Liv.
This segment
Yeah.
put that match from like a 6 out of 10 and we're starting to it, bang, 9. Well, here we go.
Yeah,
We're
same.
ready to go for WrestleMania. This
Yeah.
was 100% Triple H and WWE cooking on the road to WrestleMania. We are 2 weeks away. Let's roll.
I'm glad you mentioned that because it ties into the point I just said before. Because during that segment, I did actually pick up my phone for a little bit and I was scrolling a little bit when Becky and Rhea were talking because I was a little bit like, oh. And then when Rhea said that thing about
Just
Rue
phone
on
down.
the couch saying that's Mummy and Becky's response, I was like straight back onto the screen. I'm like, whoa. Because Becky, it was literally like from the heart. Like she was, I thought I'm not surprised she punched Dom for real because she needed to get some of that energy out. Yeah. But it was pure fire again, and as you said, every reason why Raw has been marked at the level it has.
And then the main event with Shin versus Jay was fine, but that led to
the big story,
we're
which
talking about.
everyone's still talking about. And if you haven't seen it, check us out on TikTok because Reece has done a video
YouTube as well.
on some other bits
up there.
on YouTube. Yep, on the YouTube Shorts and TikTok. Reece obviously released some videos about this segment that we're about to talk about, which is obviously the final boss, The Rock. So obviously he had the appearance earlier in the night, and we had the match between Jay and Shinsuke, which. It was pretty much telegraphed that we're going to get everyone getting involved in interfering in the match.
Also, the point to this Raw as well was the way that they did this storyline from the start to the finish.
Yeah.
Rock walked out, whispered in Cody's ear, which we all now worked out. He said, "I'm going to make you bleed."
Yeah.
And then when Caleb Braxton was backstage, like, "Rock, what did you say?" And he goes, "You'll have to ask Cody." And then half an hour later, they asked Cody, and he goes, "Look,
Doesn't really matter what he
doesn't
said.
matter what he says. It's not going to come true, but it's not the thing, right?" And then half an hour later, you've got Seth going up, or just before this match, Seth goes up to Jade and is like, "Something's in the air. We'll be around to look after
We
you."
got your back. Yeah.
And then this happened. The whole show, they kept this story going. And
Planting those little seeds
Yeah.
to remind everyone.
Yep.
All through the show. And then obviously, so we got the fact that we had Solo and Jimmy trying to get involved in the match. Seth got taken out at ringside, if I remember correctly.
Drew, yep. Future shocked him.
Future Shock DDT. So then Cody was fighting
wonder if it's
with
biceps
Solo
backstage.
and Jimmy backstage.
Yep.
And then Enter the Rock. Starts throwing Cody around, beating the absolute crap out of him.
You open up a can of whoop ass.
Then opens one of the doors out to outside the arena. Number one, it was raining, which I think added a lot to this segment, the fact that it was raining.
If it wasn't raining, I don't really think it'd have as much impact as it did. Like having Cody there, lying in the rain, shirt drenched, blood just
It was so
pouring off.
But also,
We like to call it cinema.
cinema.
also the whole setup of him being slammed into the side of his bus,
Own bus,
with
yep.
the picture of Pharaoh right there next to him as well. I'm like, man,
And
this
then-
is getting hot. Like, this is just
Cheeky bit of professional work from The Rock, holding the door open as he was going out
Yeah.
with Cody's, what is it, American vodka? The promo in the background.
yeah.
Just holding it there, holding the camera there. Nice little shot
A
for
lot
him.
of people have come out and said nothing in this road to WrestleMania was done on accident.
No.
Right? And that shot you're talking about is correct. The other shot that everyone is talking about posters is the big trailer that was next to them, which has the big faces of John Cena, Stone Cold.
two of his biggest ever WrestleMania
And
feuds.
every WrestleMania truck that they've had backstage for everything else,
Charlotte and Drew.
Roman, whatever. All the WrestleMania trucks. This wasn't a WrestleMania
And it was
truck
white too. It wasn't WrestleMania.
There was
it
another
white.
WrestleMania truck in the background.
with Brock on it. Yeah, I've seen that one too.
Interesting. Didn't see that one. But I think this is definitely
foreshadowing.
telegraphing
Absolutely.
and foreshadowing. And, I'm going to go back. I'm going to have to find the footage where I said about lumberjack match in the main event with everybody stopping Roman from getting away.
months and months and months ago.
Mate, I'm telling you, it's starting to make me feel like I should be confident in what I've predicted because I feel like Stone Cold and John Cena are going to get in there and stop the final boss from getting involved in that final match.
It's the Avengers Assemble. It's
Yeah,
100% they're booking this.
100%.
I'm so excited for this WrestleMania, and I feel like there's just so much excitement in wrestling this week. Like, I'm fucking emotional just talking about it. Like, it's just
think the next time
wrestling
we
has
record
not
a
been
podcast-
like this
Yeah.
in so goddamn long. And I cannot remember the last time I've been this pumped to watch
absolutely.
weekly television, let alone a WrestleMania. Like,
Yeah.
WrestleMania is always fun to watch, but like this one's just not the fact that it's just WrestleMania 40.
Yeah.
It's going to be something special.
Oh, dude.
This
so
time
special.
next week, we're watching the Avengers, boys. We're watching
Oh
them
man,
come out in
and
one
we're
week's time.
going to have had a few cans. We're going to be happy, or hopefully we'll be happy with most of the results on it. But look, then it was the video that came out obviously afterwards.
Yeah.
which they kept for quite a while.
Yeah.
It was only a few days.
But like,
after
I think
that
it's
they
good because
released it.
like, Rock wasn't on SmackDown this week, but like, he's been on SmackDown for the past 3 weeks. And each time before that, he's released like 15, 20-minute promo video. It was good for them to hold that back for this week because then you had that to build up interest in what's going to happen on SmackDown.
Well, even, I mean, to show you the relevance of what those videos and what they've been doing, our friend Scotty, who isn't he doesn't watch weekly television. He'll come and watch the pay-per-views with us sometimes. He'll go to the local shows, he'll come to Slam. I had a chat to him yesterday for his birthday. He was saying He's been watching the Rock stuff on social media.
There you go.
He's been seeing those videos and he sees what the story that's going on. He's been watching our TikToks and stuff of it. And that's enough of the story being like, so what's Rock doing at WrestleMania? This is going to be pretty big, right?
Yeah.
People know.
That's how you get the people in
They're
there.
selling
But
it.
now I guess that now the problem is with that is that, and I'm sure they'll do it because I've got a lot of confidence in Triple H and everyone at WWE right now with what we're doing with storylines, is at the go home show. How do you then make it again? It's about Roman Reigns and
Well,
Cody.
Roman is on Raw. So.
Yeah, so you've got to bring it back to that because obviously that's slightly now overshadowed because everyone's like, oh, Rock and Cody. We've got to try and bring it back to make sure that, hey, it's Cody versus Roman here.
What they did on SmackDown this week was just a promo, and it was just Heyman saying that it was really good to see that the final boss was there at the behest of the tribal chief. And I was like,
Yeah, exactly. It was
I
a
get
bit
what you're
weird.
trying to do, but it's not
Didn't work.
quite enough.
Yeah. We need a situation in the ring where Roman tells Rock to do something.
No,
Go and do this now.
I just
The most
had
impactful
a thought.
before you get to your point. The most impactful moment that we have had in this whole bloodline thing from Roman Reigns was when The Rock went to say, and he just went, no.
Exactly.
We need that moment
Yeah.
where where The Rock's like, Cody, I'll do, and no,
Yeah.
and then The Rock's like,
Exactly.
whoa.
Exactly.
That's the moment we need on Raw. We
Yeah.
need something to happen where Roman is in charge.
Where Roman puts himself back at that head of the table.
Yes.
He goes, no.
I
this is
would
how
love
we're
to
doing
see a face-off with...
Pretty good movie. John Travolta and Nick Cage. Sorry.
So have Rock, Roman, Cody, and Seth. Jimmy and Jay come out as well, and you have like,
But then what does Solo do? Poor Solo.
like that's the thing. That's what I'm about to mention. Like, what do you do with Solo? Like, you can just
And
stand
Heyman.
outside the ring.
Yeah, with
They
Heyman.
can just stand outside the ring. Have those 6 men in the ring face off. Jimmy and Jay start fighting. Rock and Seth start fighting. But then you just have a shot of Roman and Cody
Just
in the
And they
middle of
don't
the
touch
ring,
each other.
just staring at each other, getting that face off, and Roman just holds the belt behind him.
That'd be good.
That's pretty good.
Hey, getting
Goosebumps,
man!
man.
Holy
The other
shit!
moment I sort of thought of was the fact that maybe if you have like Avengers face-off thing again, but Rock says to Jimmy and Solo, get him. And Roman tells, no.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
Like, but that is, I like that. I like that idea. That's awesome.
Because that way you can get that like final shot before Raw goes off the air
Yeah.
of Roman and Cody. Because that's night 2. That's the main event of WrestleMania.
Exactly. That's what you
Gives
need to
that
end on.
impact.
You need to end on that on SmackDown.
Chills, literal chills.
Oh, literal chills. All right, so look, those are the 2 big segments. We'll jump over to SmackDown and some of the things that happened there. And then we'll end off with a couple of other points about WrestleMania and the Hall of Fame as well. So on SmackDown, obviously one of the big things that everyone's talking about is Jade Cargill. They say she debuted, but obviously it's like the 4th debut now. But very cool. I think you made mention earlier in the pod about someone coming out and cutting a promo early on and then coming out and kicking people's asses, and they did it very well.
They did this better than the Mercedes.
We
they
were.
do.
I was sitting there because we had family dinner on lunch on Saturday for Easter as a little get together thing. And I had SmackDown on, and me and Josh were sitting there when the entrance started.
Yeah.
Jesus
Sick
Christ.
entrance.
Absolutely amazing entrance for Jade. Just like being all black and then the little like laser light
With the
coming,
smoke,
all
yeah.
the smoke and like the
It
snow.
looks awesome.
And then her just like walking through that, and you've just got the silhouette.
Yeah.
her
And what she was
flexing.
wearing too, in like that, like, because Lockie asked me, he's like, what is she even wearing?
Yeah.
And I was like, that, like, it looked like it was a hard plastic type
Yeah.
bikini thing,
Yeah.
but it just made her look all hard, like her 6-pack,
Yeah.
her muscles. She just chiseled out of rock was the way that she looked. And
Yeah.
it's just, I can't remember what Barrett or someone said, but it's like she exuded like a superstar.
Yeah.
Like she just looked like it when she
I've been
walked
saying
around.
that on anything
yeah.
relating to Jade on TikTok that I'm seeing at the moment. I've just been saying that. That's the entrance of a superstar.
Oh, 100%. I think what Barrett said was he goes, I think that's the greatest human I've ever seen.
Yeah,
It was something
yeah.
along those lines. And I think he said something, I don't know, I think Corey Graves made some mention about, I think it was very quiet.
Pick
There was,
your
"Oh,
jaw
take
up off the
wife."
announce table.
Just be careful. But look,
Oh,
great
man,
thing.
I love Carmella, but she would get destroyed by
I have,
Jade.
to, I have to admit, I was a little bit, and at the beginning of the show, obviously, when that happened, and she did that, and then I went, "Oh, is that it?"
Yeah.
Is that
we
it?
said the same thing. We were like, oh, no confrontation, no nothing. But as
it
we
gets
found
fixed.
out later in the night,
So obviously, we had the main event, which was Dakota Kai up against Bianca,
Bianca Belair.
which was a good match. It was a good match.
Dakota's good in the ring.
Yeah, she's not got any ring rust at all. She's doing quite well. But it was the way, obviously, that it ended with Damage Control coming out.
Surprise.
And Naomi came out, which was no surprise. We thought, oh, yeah, fair enough.
And I was like, oh, here comes Bailey.
I like this better.
No,
Jade.
yes.
Yep. And props to her, costume change.
Yeah.
Well, she wasn't doing this in the plastic bikini and the high heels.
No. And she came out, and I tell you what, they did a fantastic job in making her just look like big, strong, powerful woman. Like it was the
Pop-up
power
powerbomb. Jesus Christ.
Bang on, man.
So good.
Holy crap.
I suppose it's like really good for someone Jade's size. It just looked so well being it done on a smaller person as well.
Yeah.
Because it just made it look that much more impactful.
But props to Dakota for taking it.
Yeah.
My problem with this match, obviously we know who's winning, right? Bianca has a WrestleMania streak. Jade should not lose her first match. They're winning this easily, right? My problem is that that two are going to overshadow Naomi. I think there will be a spot in the middle where you have and I think this should be building a Bianca versus Jade feud for SummerSlam or something down the track.
Yep.
There should be a spot where Jade has Asuka up, powerbombs her. So then Bianca's like, all right, she gets Kyrie, powerbombs her.
Yeah.
And then like,
What
all right,
you can
fine.
do, I can do
I'll
better.
do a suplex. And they both do that holding suplex spot for like 10 seconds because they're strong enough. We know they can do it. Yeah. They will have this match where they're just trying to one-up each other the whole time so that they're on the same team. They're going to beat Damage Control. There's no tension for them losing, but there is that little bit of one-upsmanship.
But and they pin them at the same time, and the count happens at the same time. I get what you're cooking there, man. That's good.
And then
Cook too
eventually
much.
for the
We have a
next-
prediction show.
Yeah.
Oh, we could.
We could talk about this on the prediction show. So let's leave it to that. But I think they did a really good job. The shot at the end with the three of them in front of the WrestleMania sign. And obviously it sort of
And then,
teases, I don't think it'll happen, but it teases the fact that there might be a stable there for future. I don't know if they will because
then,
individually they're all
I don't
very
think it
strong
happened
characters.
on TV, them, all three of them pointing at
Nah,
the
that was
WrestleMania
post.
sign.
That was post.
Yeah. That was a fantastic shot.
And we don't want to talk about too many negative things, but
Why do people have to be like this?
Reece did point out to us that on the posts, on some of the posts online, there were very, very derogatory comments about this photo of the three of them.
The original post was by WrestleOps on Twitter, and they were like, what would you name this team? And then there's just dumbass racist comments.
Yeah, which we're not even
Against-
going to repeat what they
No,
were.
against Bianca, Jade, and Naomi. Like,
Just grow up.
we had this happen when they posted the photo of Bianca and Rhea and Cody, all the 2K24 cover stars.
Yeah.
People were targeting
People
Bianca
haven't
again.
learned.
It's fucking 2024, guys. Like, when is this just going to stop?
I mean, look at
Have you been
look
to
at
Alabama?
but look at
Obviously not.
Look at the roster of wrestling right now. It is so
it's so diverse.
Diverse. We've moved on from that. If you,
Well,
if you
America
haven't
hasn't,
moved on from
apparently.
it, if you haven't moved on from it, wrestling's not for you. Just going to put it out there.
But I mean, yeah.
But yeah, say, like, targeting America is like, it's just a worldwide thing. Like, it's just. Mate,
predominantly, though.
We're all humans just trying to live. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, I agree.
It's come
dumb.
together and enjoy wrestling as one big group of people that love wrestling, man. Like,
Yeah,
seriously.
absolutely.
That's it. Just
It
love
should be
wrestling.
bringing us together, not tearing us apart.
Exactly.
Brings a tear to the eye. Look at you.
No, we had to touch on it though, man. I feel like we do because if we don't say anything, they just keep making the comments and it just gets worse.
But the thing that bugs me is, like, now that Sasha's back in AEW, I haven't seen any comments like this targeted at her.
Well,
Well, I
not
hope
only
there
that,
wouldn't be.
but
I hope
also
there wouldn't
like they've got Samoa Joe as their current champion and Swerve as the number one contender. Like,
Which is.
if you're gonna pick on race as a problem in wrestling, you're probably watching the wrong product these days because it's not all white guy versus white guy that's going to be the champion. Unfortunately,
Mate, this will probably be the most diverse WrestleMania we've ever seen. Like, you think about who the champions are and where they're all from, or the people just involved in the matches
absolutely.
in general.
Yeah.
Like, they're from all over the globe.
Yep.
We've got so much representation from Europe, Australia, Japan, all the Latin Americas, Canada. Like, it's from everywhere.
Puerto Rico.
It's going to be awesome. But look, we'll move on from that. We've
More
made
positive.
our point.
More
Don't be
positive.
racist. Simple as
Just
that.
stop.
So, in other points on SmackDown, Ray, do you think he's having trouble keeping his friends close?
Do you think he's being a bit too racist here with Carlito? He just doesn't like apple eaters.
Maybe. But you've pointed out, Dan, you've made a bit of a prediction, and this is not a prediction for Mania.
Put it on the
but-
prediction show.
Yes.
What my prediction will be. But I just feel like this segment was fun. It was kind of foreshadowed as we were going to have this LWO / Legado del Fantasma
We are
match.
getting the tag match that we theorized about.
Correct.
Just not in the original.
I just
format.
think the way they sold it when he's like, I'll pick someone, a partner of my choosing, and he's got like 4 dudes next to him, like, yeah, me. Oh, it's not me. Oh, whoops. maybe kind of just made them look a bit shit.
But this is where Dom was quite funny though. I can't
Which one
remember
of these nerds?
Yeah, which one? But he said, "Oh, what was the first one?" He said this guy, but then he went the fake Latino, and he pointed at one of the other, and I can't remember who it was, but he laughed. He's like, "Oh, yeah." He's like, "Oh." So I'm like, "Oh, okay, that was a bit rough."
I'm gonna Google it while we talk.
Please
about it. See
look
if
it up.
Cruz is not from like.
Let's just check it out. Let's just check it out because that's. I was like, there's some sort of inside joke there.
Well, yeah, we made the prediction last week that we'd have Ray, Dragon Lee, and Carlito. But we didn't end up getting that. We've just got Ray and Dragon Lee.
All right, so Cruz del Toro's from Mexico, so it's not him. Who's the other one?
Joaquin
Wild.
Joaquin Wild.
Joaquin.
Joaquin.
Joaquin Wild. Well, bringing up his
here we go,
Wikipedia.
here we go.
Wikipedia's never wrong.
Just talk amongst yourselves.
Quick facts. Joaquin Wild.
Enter elevator music.
He was born in California.
Is that what he's referring to then?
Probably.
The fact that he's born in California?
When he was on the Indies
Yeah.
as DJ Zima or Zima Ion, he was billed from Chicago, Illinois. So
Yeah,
it's
okay.
him.
So that must be the inside joke. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That makes sense.
But look, I think it's going to be a great match. You got.
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
gonna. I should probably leave this for the predictions.
Yeah,
though,
leave it
but
for predictions, I guess.
it's just for the face side. It's going to be a passing of the torch moment. I think.
Well, they've said this for ages, is that Ray has said Dragon Lee is the next Lucha Libre superstar.
But there is no better time to capitalize on that.
Agreed.
But I guess the main thing from this segment was that then it led into the tag match to finalize the tag teams that were going into the
six-pack challenge.
six-pack challenge, which was New Catch Republic.
Which we
Which I think we all sort of predicted
Yep.
they were going to be in there anyway. And obviously we'll talk about the full card when we
And
get to the predictions video.
Reece also
Go watch the
predicted-
predictions videos.
A
what we're
Town
saying.
Down Under
Yeah.
winning by
Distracted the Street Profits with the
Final
Fire
Testament
West.
costing Street Problem.
Yep.
Then on that, I've seen some stuff. Take it with a grain of salt because it's come from our Uncle Dave. Apparently, he's reporting that even though they won and Build is in that six-pack ladder match, Grayson and Austin will not be in the match. So take it with a grain of salt because it's come from Dave.
The Hardys. Is that what you're telling me? You telling me the Hardys? Is that what you're telling me?
But
Motor City Machine Guns, mate.
Oh, that could be cool.
We're gonna.
I was going to say the
we're
Hardys
gonna-
already had their return back at that. I can't remember.
They
what
do it again.
WrestleMania
They do it
was,
again.
but-
You know that was the only that when they won that title that was Jeff Hardy's only win at WrestleMania.
Really?
Yep.
Well, there you go.
Only time he'd ever won a
probably why
match.
they did it.
Was that tag match at WrestleMania.
Man,
That's crazy.
still like seeing clips of that to this day, 7 years on, I still get goosebumps because that was literally the biggest
It's
surprise
huge.
Yeah.
at a WrestleMania
Perfect.
ever.
And the way that it was introduced by your
New
mates,
Day.
the videos.
And they came out in ring gear, so you're like, oh, of course they're going to insert themselves in this match.
yeah, exactly.
And then,
it was perfectly done. So last
but
point,
like that was the thing, like the backstage documentary they released about it, where they touched on that specific segment of the Hardys returning, is they posted a photo at the airport earlier that day to throw people off.
Yeah. They kept it
And it
super
fucking
secret.
worked, man.
Super
It
secret.
worked.
Yeah. Oh, super secret. So the last point I've got from SmackDown is a bit of a fun one. It's actually to do with the AJ Styles and LA Knight segment, which I thought was kind of cool because I think it's been buried a little bit by all these other great stories that are happening.
But like you talk about the segment last week,
Yeah.
the home invasion, or was that the week before?
No, that's last week.
That was last week.
Like,
Yeah.
that was great.
But I
But
think
they're
this
doing
was
well.
like I said, Triple H and that are cooking. They
Yeah.
know they have WrestleMania. They know
Yeah.
every match needs that little bit of a boost, and this match,
Everything's getting it at the moment.
people online have been criticizing this by saying that LA Knight deserves better. LA Knight should be in that US title match.
What better than one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, AJ Styles?
Fully agree.
Yeah.
Like,
I think this would be LA Knight's best match that he's ever had in the ring.
Yeah.
I think that he's never had a really good in-ring bell-to-bell match before.
Yeah.
He's had some okay ones, but that's never been his point. He's always been a promo character guy. This will be his match that he
Yeah.
can pull back on his resume and say, I had a 4+ star match, maybe, against AJ at WrestleMania. I think he can have the US title feud down the track. I think what they're doing with Kevin Owens and Orton, the match they had with Pretty Deadly was awesome as well, with Logan interfering and stuff like that. Is all
I love the
working
fact
really
that
well.
Pretty Deadly got the victory, though.
Correct.
Oh,
great.
This is working
great.
really well, and this bit that you're going to talk about with him as the security guard.
Yeah.
When they pulled away and like AJ was like yelling to the crowd, and then they showed that shot of the guard, I was like, I didn't click that it was him straight away.
Straight away I got it, man. I saw the face and I'm like, that's LA.
But I
That's
love
him
Like that was
right
the thing
there.
because he wasn't one of the ones that took the guy away.
No,
so
no.
he'd
Straight
come
back up.
around
Yeah.
as they were getting him out.
Yeah,
But
And then I was like, why is the guard standing there? That's
Yeah.
weird. And then I was like,
AJ with his paranoia though, is it the cameraman? Get out of my ring, blah blah blah, and like they just did it so well. And then as soon as the security guards took that guy away, I thought, where's he going to pop up? He's going to pop up now. But the thing that distracted me the most from this, I have to point it out, was how big LA Knight's shirt was. And if you didn't see it, go back and see, because I swear to God, it would have looked big on Andre the Giant. It was massive. He also went to take it off.
You said it was going to look big on Big
The worst thing is he untucked it because he was going to take it off, but AJ turned around too quick, so he couldn't take it off because I think he realized I'm going to like hockey jersey myself, and then AJ's going to beat me up. So he had to leave it on, and it was just so big and billowy as they were fighting. It really distracted me.
I love that. That was hilarious. But I loved the part now where they're not playing off the wrestlers as being so dumb anymore.
No.
Like AJ was there, and AJ looked at the big screen, and he could see the big screen. He was like, he's behind
And that's
me.
what happened with the KO
Randy
Orton
match
match
when he saw-
earlier.
yeah,
Like,
correct.
saw the
They
Titans
saw
run,
the
he's like,
screen.
oh, so
Perfectly
he's
done.
under the ring.
Yeah.
And then went out and got Logan Paul.
Because
from
that's
under the ring.
always been a problem we've had with wrestling, where like
Why don't they just look at the screen and see what happens?
But not only that, but like how many times have you seen a wrestler like the music plays and they stand in the ring waiting for him to come down the ramp and they don't, and like where is he? What's happening? And they slide in the ring behind them for like 20 seconds waiting for a super kick, and the person's like, "What's going on?" We now know they're not dumb enough because you'll see on the screen they're like, "Oh, he's behind me."
Yeah.
And then they'll turn around into it.
Well, that was the only other negative point from when LA Knight did take his shirt off and was on the table. Commentary was like, see this guy, and he got the camera to point to the monitor because obviously he was on the monitor, but then he didn't think that when the camera points at the monitor,
It's him
all they're
pointing at the monitor.
going to see is the monitor because that's the camera that's putting him on the monitor.
Yeah.
Look, awesome segments. I love that with the Randy stuff too. I love the fact that he found Logan Paul under the ring and then beat the crap out of him. Very well done. So SmackDown and Raw, both awesome for the week. I think it's going to be pretty hard to get some awesome go-home shows after those, because if those two were the go-home shows, I don't
You'd
think
be
many
pumped,
people would
yeah.
complain, except for the fact
think-
that obviously it wasn't Roman.
I think the
beating up
SmackDown
Cody.
one's teeing up to be really big because I reckon that Jay versus Solo match, that's going to be your main event. And
That'll go everywhere.
Oh, for sure.
You'll have
You'll
Bailey
have
and Io
more interactions.
on the show because you just had the segment with them at the like.
You got the Andre
photo
the
shoot or
Giant
whatever.
Memorial Battle Royal on SmackDown as well, which Bronson Reed, maybe?
Andrade?
Andrade, yeah.
Ricochet?
That was a thing. Like, backtrack to Raw for a quick second.
Yeah.
Bronson beating Sami Zayn through distraction. As soon as that happened, I was like, put him in the fucking
That's what
match
Gable
at WrestleMania.
said. Gable
Put him in the
said
match.
you're not focusing. He told him that.
We're
And
getting
that
into the
story-
prediction side of it, I can feel, because you're going to cook and talk about the predictions. Let's save this
All right,
beautiful meal.
Okay.
All right, so that means, obviously, at WrestleMania, we've got 12 matches on the card in total. We still only know about 3 of them and what night they're on. They haven't actually stated what nights all the other matches are on yet. It's only the 3 so far. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Only
two
the
title
championships
matches.
are-
I was like, what's
They're
the
the
third
only
one?
ones we know. So the rest we don't know yet. So we're still waiting for that to find out. And I was going to ask this other question, but I will mention it, but I don't want you to answer it because I want to leave a teaser for our predictions video. Damian Priest, will he cash in? Check out our predictions video to see what we think about that, because I think that's probably the big talking point. Dan, I think I know how he's feeling, and I think I know how you're feeling.
Sorry, I'm over here cooking.
Look, super excited, man, because we don't know which way it's going to go. Now, last couple of points I want to talk about, because obviously,
Sorry, I just bring in the oven. I'm still cooking.
are you going to do some Salt Bay in the cooking?
I'm going to wait till it comes out the oven first.
Oh, okay, sorry. So let's end on the Hall of Fame. The Hall of... Jesus Christ.
Kick on.
For anyone listening on Spotify, Dan is literally cooking.
Oh, man.
I don't know what he's cooking. I think it's in the oven.
It's a roast chook.
It's a roast chook.
Roast chook, mate.
Did you put butter under the skin? That's the key.
Yeah, a bit of stuffing.
Oh, very good. All right. Speaking of stuffing, that's a terrible segment.
leg
How to
for
make that
you.
work. I really like the wings. If I can have a wing, please.
Of course you can.
Please, with some hot sauce. And then ask me a hot ones question.
So, Ted.
Yes.
Your podcast career.
Yes.
I
I
know
wouldn't call it a
It's
career.
only really in its infancy.
Yes.
But, you know, we've had some moments on this show where,
Yes.
where you've obviously have drawn fans and stuff like that. How do you take this kind of level of fame and fortune that you are getting from this podcast when you go out in public? Like, is this sort of going to impact the way that you are? And in that sort of sense, not only your fans that are people that you understand that see you and know you when you go out to wrestling events and such, how do you handle these kind of sort of interactions with your horses?
That's a very good question, Dan, and no one's ever asked me that for good reason, because it's not actually a very good question. That was terrible. You asked about 10 questions in one question. My horses, would you believe, have no idea how famous I am. And I don't think they watch this podcast.
But we all know how famous Buster is.
Oh,
so-
mate, Buster's he's a champ. He's a legend. So back onto the Hall of Fame. Oh, my God. So Hall of Fame obviously is also happening before... Jesus Christ. Oh, Dan, leave the interviewing to me and Reece, huh?
Sure. Can do.
You can ask Caveman Ugg that question next
I was
time.
going to say that's better than any question I've asked.
Oh, man. So, Hall of Fame is obviously happening before WrestleMania this weekend, which is also a very big part and very exciting part of it.
Just after SmackDown.
And obviously, we've talked about in the last couple of episodes about the fact that Bray Wyatt isn't going into the Hall of Fame now. And Mike Rotunda has actually come out and quoted as to why that's happening. And I do actually have the quote from him here. I actually did my research for once. So what he said was he came out and said, I think WWE reassessed stuff and thought it was too soon to go there with our family and the reactions and the stress on us. We got a call from WWE and they said Hunter wants to do a Zoom call. We were thinking they were going to tell us what was going to happen at WrestleMania, and Hunter said, you guys are going to get inducted. You and Barry were a part of the first WrestleMania show, which is very flattering, obviously, and actually less stressful on us because all of the stuff that we had to go through with Wyndham passing, just the mental capacity of it.
Yeah.
So obviously, that was his exact words. So I think I think it was on some sort of podcast. So some of the stuff may be slightly out of context, but I think mainly what he's getting at is the fact that they realise that it's just a little bit much with, especially the documentary coming out, really emotional. It hasn't even been a year.
Yeah.
We're talking about very recently. I think we've all mentioned this before we came on. There is absolutely no doubt that Bray Wyatt will end up in the Hall of Fame. That spot is saved for him. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's give the family time a little bit longer to, be ready because it's going to be very emotional.
And just try and recover because, and that's always something that's been portrayed in TV and movie shows and all that sort of stuff. No parent should have to outlive their child.
Yeah,
So there's going to be a long-term recovery process for
100%.
his parents at the moment. And I think as much as we did want Bray to go in Hall of Fame, I think, it still is a little bit too soon. And especially with the documentary coming out, and we're going to have that to have to emotionally process.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's good just having that and not having that and then having to go through it again for the Hall of Fame inductions. So.
Yeah, because you want to give it that time where it doesn't feel like, they've put him in there just because he just passed away. You know what I mean? You want
it's
to
happened
give
in
it
the
time.
past.
You don't want a sympathy vote.
No.
He will never get in there as a sympathy vote, but
No.
some people would think, he just passed, they're putting him in for that reason.
Yeah.
We don't want it.
And I seriously think that if they were going to do it, and I can't guarantee this would happen, but I feel like Paul Heyman would have turned around and said, "Well, if that's the case, I don't want to take his spotlight away." Yep. And he probably would have volunteered to be like, "Let's leave me for another year because he deserves the spotlight."
Yeah. But I think what we'll talk about now is that Paul Heyman is the spotlight
100%
for this year.
Yeah.
And for good reason.
The fact that he's come out and said several times that he's just going to improv, I guess his speech is good. The chat that he had on the Rich Eisen show, I watched the interview that he had with that, which was essentially Rich kind of just said, what are you going to say? And Paul was like, look, I'll feel the crowd. If it's a rowdy crowd in Philadelphia and they want to hear about ECW, I'll talk about ECW.
Yeah.
If it's a crowd that wants to hear about Roman Reigns and the bloodline and what the current storyline is, I'll talk about the current storyline.
Yeah.
Being in Philly, where
We're going to get
ECW chants are going to drown out everything.
sure.
But I love the fact that he said this because this is so Paul Heyman.
Yep.
He goes out, he improvs. That's his whole career.
that's the
He's
thing.
been that person.
I wouldn't expect it any other way.
No.
So
He'll have his
excited.
points. He'll know what he wants to talk about,
Yeah.
and he'll see which way it goes.
And I just want to touch on again, I know we already spoke about it last time, but it's had a lot of traction online. We've had a lot of interactions because of our question about who's going to induct Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
And I think, to be honest with you, I've seen online, I think majority of people are asking for Dreamer.
Yeah, a lot of
Tommy
people want
Dreamer seems to be
Dreamer.
the number one choice.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he did try to kill Paul Heyman one time.
yeah.
Well, wanted to. So
I mean, there's a few of them that have tried to kill Paul at certain times. Poorly, dangerously.
But no, and I feel like there was a I think it was a special episode of the Austin podcast back then, where they had, in the early WWE Network days, where they had Paul on and they had a few of the original ECW guys. So they had RVD, they had Dreamer, and they had Bubba. And just the way that Dreamer was talking about it, they had their.
Oh, that was hosted by Corey Graves. I know the one
Okay,
you're talking
yeah.
about. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So they had that segment where Dreamer was talking we butted heads and you owe me a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. But like without Paul, Dreamer wouldn't be anything.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And like just the like watching the both of them and that emotional connection they have and how they reacted to that interview, it makes sense. I think it has to be Dreamer.
As long as we've seen WWE have that relationship with TNA to get Jordan Grace and stuff over. We know Dreamer is still TNA wrestler.
Yeah.
He's on Busted Open. He's got his own stuff. As long as contractually he can come on WWE TV and do it, I'm all for Tommy Dreamer.
Yeah.
I think they'll be happy to do it because, I mean, again,
Special
TNA,
occasion as
TNA
well.
is owned by Endeavor, right?
I think like long way up the chain, yes.
Yeah.
So I'd say there's obviously a door there available to be able to do that.
Hopefully.
Surely.
But it seems that's what the people want, so hopefully that's what they get. And as you said, I think he can probably give a really good speech because obviously their relationship was pretty tumultuous. So I think he's probably the best person to really get up there and talk about the hard times, the good times, where is it now and why that man deserves to be there. So let us know what you still think. If you think it should be Tommy Dreamer, or if there's someone else you think it could be, like maybe should it be Bubba? Could it be Taz? Maybe
I had an interesting couple
But
of
he works for
comments.
AEW, so I think
People
that's
saying
gonna work.
Undertaker because like way back when Undertaker first got in, he had Paul Heyman. Well, Paul E.
Yeah.
dangerously managing him.
Paulie did.
Yeah, right.
I think it's
I
got to
feel
be
like
an
that'd
ECW
overshadow
original,
him. Yeah.
or it's got to be a OG Brock Lesnar guy, OG Paul Heyman guy. So it's got to be Punk, a Dreamer. It would have been possibly Brock, but obviously that's not going to happen. So I think a Punk or Dream is probably my picks.
Can you imagine if that's Brock's return at Hall of Fame?
No. There's
No,
no.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I also don't think,
think it's still too fresh.
eloquent enough to do a full Hall of Fame speech either.
Yeah. Oh, true. Like that's my main point is he's not much of a talker. That's why Heyman was with him. So
Well, I feel like that'd be a good way to like just have Brock be himself for once.
yeah, true.
Anyway,
True.
moving on.
Well, look, I mean, that's all the points I've got.
Yeah.
But I think the most exciting thing, gentlemen, is that
Wrestling's cool again.
WrestleMania less than a week away. We are in the final week for WrestleMania.
5 days until SmackDown.
We've got
and Hall
more
of Fame.
content coming out this week. You should keep an eye out for it. And we keep saying predictions. Go check our predictions for WrestleMania. Check out our predictions for the Slammy Awards.
Subscribe
We
on
be
YouTube for us
cooking.
because once we get to 100 subscribers, we're still going to give away one of these fancy little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the 100th subscriber.
If we could
Hopefully
figure
they're
it
not a
out.
bot.
We'll work it out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hopefully
we'll
they're not a
find
bot.
out.
And also make sure you check us out on TikTok. We've got Reece out there hitting us up with the breaking news. A lot
Dan's
of the
got
time.
access now, so maybe we'll see
I
videos
might do
from
a
him
video,
at some
yeah,
point.
Yeah, I could do that.
Why not, bro?
From the garage and from the.
Like here's
pool
my
table
new
relevancy.
Mummy cutout right in my bedroom.
No, you know the funny story
no,
about
he
that?
did try to order one last week.
Really?
So yeah, Reece
Oh,
came-
okay, here we go.
He ordered it and then it immediately got cancelled.
Oh.
So I was sitting there and we pulled it up on Amazon. And
Yeah.
There's a cardboard cutout of Rhea that was like 1.6 meters tall, like perfect. And I was like, I've looked at this for months, but I just never justified it. And Reece was like, I just bought a belt, so if I could do that, you could do this. And I was like, yeah, right, screw it, bye. And then sat on the couch. And
10
then
minutes
10
later?
minutes later, I was like, your thing's been refunded. And I was like, oh,
Literally, the
How
one time that he's just
disappointing.
like, yeah, I'm going to do it. Rejected.
Wow.
yeah.
She somehow rejected you, even not in person.
That was
That's-
not Mummy's. That was not her choice.
I think it was.
On that topic, buying a new belt, if you haven't, go onto TikTok. Maybe I'll put them up on YouTube as well. Got a short there. Got unboxing videos.
Save the YouTube for next week's podcast. Post WrestleMania, we'll have a new piece of scenery.
Yes.
we will.
But if you want a spoiler, go to TikTok and find it.
Yeah, you'll see it there. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And I should have known that was the one you were going to get. Because I didn't guess it. I had a guess of a couple, but that one I was like, oh, okay. I was pleasantly surprised. But that's another episode
No
of Down
regrets.
Under the Mat for the week. We are in the last week, WrestleMania. It's on the way. Check all the content coming out. Thank you, Mr. Daniel Danielson. Thank you, Radio Reece.
Thank you.
I'm Booker Ted, here in Madison Square Garage, around the pool table of relevancy. Two sweets!